So does it just start at 4 o'clock? Is that how it works? Look where it's got in the waiting room.
Yeah, I've never. Did you start? You started the meeting? Yeah. So
It's recording.
we'll open up. Do you want me in it? Or?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, do you have to admit them? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Kia ora!
40. Ding dong.
Jonesy, how you going?
Ding dong.
Nice background, Doug. We need to get the background sorted like Doug.
Oh yeah, nice.
If you can't be there, at least imagine that you're there.
That's awesome.
It's Hamish.
And Carol. I love watching everyone look at the screen. Like, got the
Hi, Nikki.
Hey, Carol, how are you, gorgeous?
Yeah, jolly good, thanks. And you?
Yeah.
You all hunkered down? All hunkered down, safe and sound?
Safe and sound. You still in a pottery?
Yeah. Yeah. Stuck.
Luckily.
Oh, George, we can't see you.
There's George there too. Hello, George. Hi, Carol.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
Good.
how is
you
it?
got your bike t-shirt on. Good on you.
Well, yeah. Been on all day.
You don't need to change for much, do you?
No, mate. When you're in front of a computer with a headset on for half the day.
Oh.
Tell the truth, 40. They're really your jammies, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not going to show you. I've got a bottom that's just the same too, mate. I'm not standing up.
Now, don't show us your bottom. Do not show us your bottom.
Leave
Hey,
it
Cheryl.
where it is.
Hello.
Hello, Cheryl.
Hello.
And there's Greg. Hi, Greg.
Okay.
I can see Hamish.
Howdy, howdy. Hi there.
Hey,
Hi, Hamish.
There's
Hi
Paul.
there.
Paul's getting rid of the halo that's around him.
Oh, there's Cheryl.
Oh, there I can see Hamish now.
Yeah. Oh, there's Paul. Hi, Paul.
Hello, just waiting for Piastri. She's on a call.
That's all right.
Sally can't make it. Sorry, she's got book club at 6 o'clock.
Oh, you're allowed to have book club, are you?
At home.
Oh.
On her own.
Oh.
She's on her own. They're all on a Zoom book club.
Yeah,
call.
yeah.
Donna's coming. She's driving home.
Oh, is she working?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Oh, Jan. Hi, Jan.
Where are you sitting, Doug?
I'm sitting at the beach.
Looks like it.
Wishful thinking.
But the tree's moving.
started.
Yeah. All right then.
I'll
Well,
keep an eye on this.
welcome everyone. We've got how many? We've got a dozen on now. So, and then we're recording the session for those that can't join anyway. So, I guess the purpose of today was just to expand on the Facebook message that we sent last week to the writing group. Ensure everyone heard it. Discuss developments that have occurred since then, and then give everyone a chance to ask any questions that they might have around what our thoughts are and how we can respond to all of that. So let me just recap what was in the message from last week, and I guess I preface everything by saying we acknowledge, and I'm getting sick of doing these videos acknowledging how hard it is, because it was January. I sat up at the farm while CT was off leading the January ride, talking about how hard fundraising would be given the fires, and how I thought, oh, we get through that, we'll be okay. Well, geez, you know.
Hey.
It feels like that was years ago, you know, and but it was only a couple of months ago, and to think we're now where we are, it's it's a bit of a messes with your head. But as our key message was back then, and it remains so now, is the commitments and the needs that we have in Thailand. They don't go away, and the support that we've committed to the kids and the communities doesn't change just because we're doing things tough now. We've just got to find new ways to engage and respond to the challenges that we face. And we worked really hard over the last couple of weeks at Hands to look at how we continue to operate, what the new world means for us both at Hands Group here in Australia, what that's done to future of leadership, and then importantly what we do for the charity and for the kids. And those in Australia would know that the government has responded to assist small business and not-for-profits and so forth, and we're certainly we're beneficiaries of that, as a lot of small business are, and make no mistake, it really makes a difference to Hands Group. But to put things in perspective, what will be entitled way of wage subsidies through JobKeeper and so forth is probably around $12,000 or thereabouts per month. But last year, the operating costs of the charity just for Thailand was 1.9 million. So the task is ahead of us, the job is before us, and there's no amount of government support will underwrite what we're doing, and nor should it, you know. But I guess I just share that to hope that you can come on the journey with us as we continue to respond to the challenges that are faced and meet the needs of the kids. And I'm really proud of where Hands as an organisation sits and the charity. And you know, for a long time we've worked not just to have the money that we need now, but we also worked hard to ensure that should something happen, that we could continue with service. And in our planning, never did we think that the world economy would grind to a halt. And I don't know that there's many businesses out there in their business plans said, well, this is our risk strategy for when the global economy stops. So, but we have been positioned well, and that's not through luck, that's through, I'd suggest, good management and governance by the board. But that doesn't last forever, and it'll last us for about 12 months or so. And so it's really important that we continue with our fundraising work and respond to what that looks like and what opportunities present and how we have to, you know, a common word at the moment is pivot to what's happening. So we're working, you know, all hours of every day to respond and do what we can, and we'll continue to do that. So I guess that's just a bit of a background on where we're at and what we're doing. In relation to the ride in January, let's work on the premise that it will occur at the moment, and then I'll come to the different scenarios after that. So assuming that we're all back flying and traveling again in January, one of the things that we acknowledge is that there's a level of uncertainty now around that, and that was why with payment options we said let's hold that off from the payment that was due the last week. And the reason why we've moved to that model is just because it helps people manage their finances better, allows us to pay the invoices along the way. And believe it or not, we do have to spend a lot of time chasing people. So if we leave it to the last minute, well, then we kind of get snookered. So that's why the payment schedules are where they are, and I think it's really in line with what a lot of different tour providers offer. So, but what we acknowledge is that right now, asking people to put up money when there's uncertainty, and because of the nature of travel insurance, you're not going to be able to make a claim should you not be able to go if it's related to COVID. So we said, you know, what's the best thing we can do for the riders? And we said, let's delay the payments for as long as we can, so that it gives you the most time to be informed and have confidence around whether riding in January is, one, possible, but two, right for you. So we didn't want to be taking money off you if that was something that we could delay. So that's what we've done with delaying the payments, and it's the 1st of September and the 1st of November. So that's obviously for us then so that we can meet suppliers' requirements around when we get the kit made, because we can't get kit sent off to get made until we've made payments. We have to pay deposits and all of that. So that's why those payment dates are where they are. In relation to the fundraising, what we also said is that fundraising becomes a bit trickier when you can't get people together. You can't fill them up full of booze and have trivia nights and dinners and all those type of things. And also the confidence. If you are committing to the ride now and you're going, well, I'm happy to pay for the ride, that's not the problem, I understand all of that, but how on earth am I going to be able to fundraise? So I better pull out of the ride. And we went, well, let's not force that upon people. So we looked at it, and there's a couple of you on the call tonight who have spoken to us previously around that the bike ride is one of the highlights of the year, that you come together, time to hang out with the riders, it's something that you look forward to. And we look forward to riding with you, and it really means a lot that you commit each year and or whenever it works for you to come and ride. And so we said, what can we do? And balancing on one hand this close to $2 million that we've got to raise to feed the kids, because the last thing I want to do is turn up to any of the homes and say, okay, it's back to choosing who gets medicine, who gets food, or closing down our support for one of the homes. That's the last thing I want to do. So we've got to balance that need against the opportunity you have to raise funds. And and you're demonstrated, so many of you have demonstrated a commitment to us over the years, that we said, let's as a one-time only, cut all of the fundraising in half. So for those of you who have ridden multiple times, once the standing rule, and this has been implemented for several years, is if you have ridden 5 times on the January ride, meaning you've raised a minimum of 50,000, we've had a rule in for a long time that says you come back and ride with us in January again, and you only have to raise 5,000. Sorry, so it's 50%. So you only have to raise half. So what we've done is we've said for you guys signed up to 2021, your fundraising is in half. So if it was 10, it's now 5. If it was 5, it's 2.5. And so we wanted to, I guess, for this year is as I say, is, you know, take away from that absolute fundraising is, you know, this thing that is so important to us, but to create the experience so you've got something to look forward to, so you can continue your journey with us. And because building strong communities here at home is just as important as building strong communities in Thailand. But as I say, it's not a free-for-all where we say we'll just come and ride and don't worry about fundraising, because one, it takes away the feeling and the advocacy of the charity, and it also, we've got to feed the kids and we've got to support the kids. So that's what we've done around the fundraising and the payment of the ride, assuming that we're all heading across in January. So that's plan A as we sit today. Now, obviously, we need to consider what happens if the borders are not open, if international travel is not open, and the ride cannot occur. So what I'd say to you today, without giving you a definitive answer, is that we're considering our options. We've got wheels in motion and we're looking at something. And before I put that out there today, I don't want to give you half an answer. What we want to do is research the options that are best and make some recommendations. We'll consult, and then we'll come back perhaps in another call like this in a week or so and say, okay, we've now had time to consider, explore, and we're doing that right now. We're looking at what the different options can be so that we've still got something around a shared experience to offer you. So option B is we're exploring it, we'll develop it, and we'll come back to you, but we don't want to just drop a pebble in the ocean and create these ripples without having an informed position. So we'll come back on that. We invited questions prior, and I think from what I've said, I think it covered most of the questions, but certainly before I open it up and just invite any questions that you might have or that I've missed or anything like that. CT, is there anything that I've missed that we've spoken about?
Nope. Okay.
Well
done.
Thank you. So over to you guys in relation to questions you might have. All right, I'll call an end to the meeting. And
yeah, going to say that was easy.
Peter,
How many people signed up for the ride?
How many have signed up, Paul? For the January ride, we've got about 32. So we had it capped at 40, and we were holding 5 positions for one group who weren't in a position to commit prior. They were just looking at personal finances around, it was a family. So for them, it was, we need to see how the first quarter of the year pans out before they commit to taking a family of 5 on the bike ride. So from the numbers, we were really happy with what we had for the new ride. We're really excited to do the new ride. and we were happy to, basically stop recruiting because we were happy with the numbers that we had there. So, so far we've had 2 who have written and have deferred, and we expect that they're, depending upon what the plan B is and what the timing and what happens, that could be more, and we completely understand that might occur. But I guess at the moment, what we're trying to do is prepare and respond to the changing circumstances. But I don't know about you guys, but 2 days feels like a week, and a week feels like a month at the moment. And, nothing made it more clearer than when we sat up at our farm and wrote this, close to 30-page report for the board. And it was written over several days. And by the time I got back and read the beginning of it, there was stuff there that was already outdated within a couple of days, so while we want to be prepared and have options, we also know that, planning things today and setting them in concrete is just going to lead us down a path of regret, So I think, if there's personal things that you want to share with us offline and deal with, and park your registrations or whatever, we completely understand that. I guess if there's the opportunity to just to hold fire and just see what happens over the next month or two, from our perspective, there's certainly nothing from a commitment that we require until September is really when when the next payment is due, so we can make a payment. So we have got time on our side, and as I said, between now and next week, like, we've committed tomorrow to really, I've been doing some research, we've been talking to some others around what options might be, and we'll present those to you once we've got some more details, which is, I think by next week we should be able to do that.
So, Peter, sorry, with the option B, obviously you're going to put that to the team, and the team are going to say whether they like it or not. Is that the idea?
When you say team, do you mean this, the group of riders, or to our team?
The riders group.
I think what we'll do, Paul, is we'll look at it. We've got a couple of options that we're working on, and what we'll do is we'll build it up, and we'll have a discussion with you, and then from that discussion, we'll make a decision as to what's the best thing to do based upon the research we've done, obligations that we've got, what's the safest thing for all, what's the most likely plan that leads us to success. Because one of the things that we know is, like, I'm supposed to be on a bike as we speak in Thailand with a corporate bike ride today. And we were supposed to have another one last week. And then the business blueprint guys who were last week, they moved their ride to September. And we were pretty strong in our advocacy that should occur, that September felt too soon to get back traveling again. And now we've got to call into them to say, I think you're going to have to move from September again. So the last thing we want to do is come up with something that says to you, okay, if January is not off, and at this stage, we're still working that January is a go, but we need to consider a whole lot of things, and part of that consideration will be the discussion with you guys, and then we'll present those options back.
That seems like the best you can achieve at the moment, because we're all geared ourselves up for next January, but in another few months, say 2 more months' time, which is a long way before our September commitment, we'll have a better idea that things are moving and it's more, the chances of happening will have a better indication whether it's 50-50 or whether it's 90% sure. So by September, when we come to make start paying the money so that you can order shirts and things like that, we'll have a better idea by then, won't we?
Yeah,
At the
Yeah, I
moment,
agree.
we just carry on as if it's going to happen
yeah,
until
definitely.
we hear otherwise.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think
I'll-
that's a good point there, Hamish. It gives us time, and we have got that on our side a little bit. And as things have unfolded, so quickly that we don't have to rush to make decisions. But what we want to do is also not wait and then be caught off guard and then go, oh, what are we going to do now? So that's why we're moving to come up with some options to give you as much information and time to consider that we can. But I agree, Hamish. Another month or two, and who knows what it'll look like and what kind of confidence that we can then have in making decisions.
Sounds great.
Doug.
Just a question on the fundraising. This is only a small housekeeping thing, but on our charts, is it still going to show the full 10,000? Because, I mean, certainly appreciate the opportunity for it to be less in case it is hard, but certainly would want to shoot towards achieving the $10,000 target. So is the plan to keep that graph there at 10,000?
So you can actually customize your own fundraising profile. So if you
Okay.
want to go in there and leave that at 10, you can. You can go in there and drop it to 5. So you can go in there and do it yourself. If not, Irene can help with managing that for you.
Thanks, Doug.
Peter, I did change my write-up and, or for Piastri, obviously talked about the COVID-19, and I did ask you on a message, what are some of the extra measures that Hands is taking relative to the kids that may in fact cost money that we can advise our donors, why it is necessary to continue funding and possibly provide for more at this particular time?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I think to give you an update on the kids, and it's a great question. We've implemented, and we did so the other 2 weeks ago now, a no visitor volunteer policy. The English teachers that were there who could get home have left. Justice, who's at Palmer House, couldn't get a flight back to the Philippines, so she's staying and she's working at Palmer House. So apart from that, the kids are on school holidays, and they're now staying at home, and some of the staff have left the homes to spend time away from the home during this period. The kids at BTN, some of them would normally go to a family member for part of the school holidays or so forth, and that's not occurring. So that's what's happening with the homes. I'm speaking with Game and Monchai every second day, and the Thais have implemented some pretty good testing regimes. They've been down to help with the support of the cleaning of the homes and things like that.
The spray.
The spray, the testing, all of the digital live riders were tested when they got off the bike with the heat guns. When I flew into Chomphon International Airport, I was tested with the heat guns. And so, I think if you look at the spread of the virus and how it's reported, Thailand was had the highest number outside of mainland China very early on. but because they responded really quickly, they've been able to control it. And those of you who know Thailand well, it's probably not a huge surprise because for a developing country, they have a fantastic health system, and there's certainly not the fears that there's under testing like there is in Indonesia or so forth. So that's what's happening there. I think, Paul, to your question around additional needs, what I'd say is that the needs haven't, and to be honest, the needs have not gone up. What's happened though is that the needs stay the same, but the donors who might be supporting us or any of the homes directly are, you know, that there's certainly less donations coming through, and you know, the very fact that we were supposed to have the trek, as some of you know quite intimately about, how quickly that I invited you and then I kicked you off. You know, that was supposed to occur. Business blueprint was supposed to occur. DGR right is supposed to occur. So on the 13th of March, Friday the 13th of March, within a space of about 3 hours, we had 3 significant fundraising events all pulled. And while they've all been postponed, what it means is the fundraising is either now delayed for several months or 12 months. So it's not so much an issue that the costs have gone up, Paul, but the issue is that the fundraising has gone down. So if you look at, you know, what we do around the support of the kids with, as you so intimately know, with what we do at the homes, then that's what we're continuing to do, and that's why the costs are there. So COVID hasn't added to costs, but it's taken away the ability to meet those costs.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Thank you.
It took me a day one day to pack my bag for the trek, but I sat on the floor. It took me a week to get around to unpacking it. But Air New Zealand gave me a credit, so I've got my money back for the airfare.
Oh, that's good.
Good.
Well, that's a bit like the washing in this household, Hamish. It takes 30 minutes in the machine, takes a couple of hours on the line, then 7 days on the end of the bed to be put away.
Well, you should put it away, shouldn't you, Pete?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Forty.
Thank
That's
you,
your job.
Paulie.
Yeah, not Claire's. Pete, just one thing,
I
mate.
didn't insinuate that.
No, I know what you like. Know you too well. Only thing I'd like to say is that we've cancelled a lot this year as a family. When a bunch of stuff's been cancelled for the right reasons, but I'm really loath to cancel this trip. I just hope everyone feels the same. I want it to happen. I think time will tell whether it does, and for me personally, not making a decision now is probably a good thing. I sort of back what Hamish said, that we've got a few months to make that decision. I think fundraising will be difficult, but not impossible. But I guess I'm not prepared at this point in time in April to say I want to give up my my January ride, because it is pretty special to you, to me, and I know to other people on this call as well. All the people on this call. So my view is let's go for it. And if there's a plan B, let's look at a plan B, and we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, thanks, Forty. And I think your point around the fundraising being difficult is exactly the conversation that I had with the bushfires, with the riders here, with Digital Live, and there was some of the blueprint riders, and there was a guy that, you know, it stands out for me. He wrote to me and said, I still want to ride, but because of the bushfires, I want you to give the money to the bushfire appeal. And I went, well, one, we can't do that. We're not allowed. And I said, the other thing is there's been, 50 to 100 million raised, however much has been supported. And I said, you know, if we gave up our money, it'll be insignificant to the bushfires, but hugely significant to us. And I just explained that our commitment it is long-term, that just because there's crisis and disaster everywhere else doesn't mean that the kids in Thailand should go without. And you know, he responded to that and said, he said, I hadn't thought about it that way. He said, you're absolutely right. He said, I'm going to raise $5,000 for the bushfires and $5,000 for hands. And, you know, and went and did that. And I think that the difference with the hands community is that I think it's an engaged community who understand what we're about, the difference we make, the opportunities that we create, you know, the vision that we have for the future. And, you know, I was talking on a Business Chicks conference today, and it was all global speakers and talking about the future of what we're doing and the plans. And but for this interruption, you know, it's such an exciting time for us. And I think that we're not a charity that just calls you at dinner time and asks you to donate money. It's about, as I say, building strong communities here in New Zealand and in Thailand, and together we can do that. The fundraising will be challenging, but if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
It's always challenging.
And, yeah, it always is. Yeah, never easy,
Yeah.
Carol.
Yeah.
But,
No. So this is no different. Just a bit.
It's definitely a mindset thing, and I just really want to acknowledge, Pete, the work that you and Claire are doing, and you know, I can only begin to imagine how stressful it must be at times, and just what you're doing to keep all this together. So just thank you from all of us.
Thanks, Nikki. Yeah.
Thank you from all of us.
Yeah.
And look, you know, just on the fundraising, Emma and I, so Emma's our new event manager, and she's fabulous. So you'll have a lot to do with her over the next 8 months. But Em and I are pulling together just some different ideas from a virtual fundraising point of view. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll finalise what that looks like and provide you guys with some extra tools and additional just ideas to raise funds in this current climate. So stay tuned for that.
Yes.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Donna.
Yeah.
Donna on the dynamo.
I just want to say I've just come home and I thought I'd missed the conversation, so I'd just like to say hello, and I'm so grateful to Nikki. She's got me into this. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and I'm gonna take this by both hands and give it everything. So you guys are hugely inspirational. So I'm feeling a little bit emotional, I don't know why, but to have this whole commitment still going forward, like you say, Pete, the children's needs don't go away, and that resonates really with me. Nobody's needs go away. And I'm in real estate, and you know, having conversations with people that have to put their property on the market, and they don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're just taking every day at a time, and I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take every day at a time with Hands Across the Water, this charity with children who still need us, or you, as I'm just new into this, but I feel that doesn't change and that just gets stronger. So I'm very humbled to be on board, and yeah, just wanted to say hello from Waiheke, New Zealand, and it's kind of exciting, really. Still, I'm new blood, so
Thanks.
It's going to be like on a ride, for God's sake.
I'm gonna.
Next real exciting part is the ride.
I think that's the quiet, the downtime, isn't it? Hi. So yes, I just wanted to just pop up and say hello to everybody. Yeah, I'm still on board and looking forward to going there next year. I do so hope it does happen. So,
Yeah.
and if not, we're still raising money
Me
in the
too.
meantime.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Hey
Okay.
team. I am really comfortable with the idea of pledging my money. So whether the ride goes across or not, everybody's in a different space. But I would be really comfortable to pledge it and then just go, if the ride happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it'll happen at a later stage, and we just count that towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Don.
I'm the same. I'm going to be raising the money, and it's going to be there for the kids. And if something goes really wrong and we can't ride, the money will still be going for the kids.
Yeah, thanks, Hamish. That's we really appreciate it. And you know, like we genuinely feel that, and we've had a lot of support from people who have reached out, and not everyone can support financially, but even just words of encouragement has been really nice for us, and we'll come up with something if the ride's not occurring. We've got good people we're talking with, and so as we said, stay tuned on that. We'll create something that we can all come together. But yeah, that commitment is from you all is certainly appreciated.
No worries.
All right. Well, unless anyone's got anything else, it's really lovely to connect. And sorry, Hamish.
I still want to do work party in November as well.
Yeah. Who did we have today? Yeah, we had a previous someone from the social venture program. Would Carol know Amanda, or was it the year after? Anyway, we had someone reach out wanting to do that as well, and you know, like it's the same thing. We'll just wait and see if it goes ahead. That's an easy thing for us to move, and I know Ando, that's important to you as well. And
yeah, Kim and I. So we'll be there.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we can, that'll be there. But you know, and just from a timing perspective, yeah, we just have to wait and see. So. So unless there's anything else, we'll, as I said, we're spending tomorrow looking at these options, and we'll schedule something for probably next week, and have a chat, and maybe we'll schedule it at a time where we can enjoy a glass of wine while we have our mutual chat, so we can all have a wine together.
It's 6:30.
We can't do that at 4 o'clock.
It's already wine time.
Way past 9 o'clock. I've heard 40 wine enough.
Doesn't matter then.
It's really lovely to see some new faces, and yeah, really nice to see our old community coming back, and yeah, let's just hope we all get to ride together in January.
Oh,
Let's hope, fingers crossed. Yeah.
And happy Easter, everybody.
Yes, happy
Easter.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Take care. Talk soon.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.